changing the passenger side CV axle on this Commander here. So the first thing we want to do is jack it up, put our stands under there, and take the tire off. I put the jack stand underneath the frame support here because once we remove the tire, we're going to be disassembling the steering knuckle to help get the passenger side CV axle out. Once we've got that tire off, we want to take off our wheel spacer. Not all vehicles will have this, but ours does. So that's a wheel spacer right there. We're going to take that off. That'll be the same size as the lug nuts. That was a 3/4 inch socket. That wheel spacer is removed. Here it is on the ground there with the lug nuts that go with that. Next, we're going to remove this brake caliper. That's going to be 2 bolts on the back side where you see the ratchet there. That's going to be a 14 millimeter. We've got that brake caliper removed, and I just set it on this little stool here so it's not hanging from the brake line. And you might need a pry bar, as I got there, to pry in between there and this piece right here to get that off. Sometimes it'll come off by hand, sometimes you got to give it a little extra with the pry bar. Also, those are the 2 little bolts that are holding it on the back, and those bolts are right there and right there, and they're going to screw into these right here, and they're kind of like a shock absorber kind of design thing, so they can be pressed in and come out. They can be manipulated a little bit as well to help remove that. Next, we want to remove our brake pads, and they're just going to slide out on either side. They just slide into these little grooves there. Those is holding them in place. So we can remove these on both sides. As we take a look, we got lots of brake pad here, and as well, no deep grooves on here. If you feel it with your finger, it might be just a little bit wavy, but it's pretty consistent. Both the rotor and the pads are still good for a while here. And now we just got to remove our brake pad bracket that holds the brake pads, and that'll be another 2 bolts on the other side to remove that. Next, we're just simply going to take off that rotor. There's nothing left holding that on, so just pull that off of there. It's going to come off the studs here. There it is, and looks like we have a O-ring that came off with it. Now, when it comes to the nut for the axle shaft here, I've got 2 sockets down here. I've got a 35 mil and a 36 mil. Unless my nut is damaged, the 35 does not want to go on there. It's really tight. I'd have to force it on. But if you put the 36 mil on, it's loose. So this is with the 36 mil. And that's a little looser than what you would like it to be. The 35 feels like it should go on, but there must be some damage on the nut on the side here somewhere where it's preventing this from going on properly. The 36 mil took it off. I can't find any damage on this nut anywhere. Still, the 35 mil doesn't want to go on here, so I guess I'm going to say it's a 36 mil to take that off of there. Next, we have a Allen screw to remove for a sensor that goes onto our hub. That's going to be right in there. That's going to be a 3/16 Allen head. And then we'll remove that. That removes the sensor. Then we want to remove the hub itself. There's going to be 3 bolts in there. I've removed this one here. There's one down there and one over here. And here's the bolt there. The reason I removed that to show you guys is sometimes they're like a 12-point headed bolt, so you need a 12-point socket to remove that, but not in this case. And what we're using is a 15 millimeter to get those out. That sensor ended up breaking when we tried to remove that. So we removed that bolt, and then I took this piece here. I was trying to pivot it side to side to loosen it up. And then when we tried to pull it off of there, it just sheared right off. So you need a new sensor. You follow that wire and it keeps going, and you follow it, and then basically there's the plug right there. You should be able to buy a replacement piece from that plug all the way back to this sensor here if yours ends up being damaged or breaks like mine. For the wheel hub here, we remove the 3 bolts. Then we're going to get at it with the wedge and chisel to get some space in there. So use the hammer, wedge, chisel, and then the pry bar. And once we've got that worked in here, the space in here, then this should just come right off of here now. The dust shield will follow in behind it, so when you're installing this, you just line this up with the hub, and then the bolts, it gets sandwiched in between the 2 pieces, and that's what holds it in there. Need to remove that fastener down there, and that's going to be for the bottom part of our strut assembly here. That's going to be about a 15/16, and then there's a nut to remove on there. Once you remove that nut, then you use the hammer and you're gonna pound that bolt out through there, and that'll disengage it from the lower A-arm. We've got that lower bolt removed. There was a 15/16 on the nut, and then our locking tab over here broke off. Next, we want to disengage the upper ball joint from the steering knuckle, and that in my case is going to be 1 1/16 nut or wrench. To remove that, want to remove the cotter pin and then remove the castle nut, and then we're going to probably flip this around, thread it on, and then give it a tap to disengage it from here. We have that upper ball joint disconnected from the steering knuckle there, but we still don't have that dropping down. And the reason we don't have that dropping down is because we have our sway bar link right there that's holding that lower A-arm. We can either remove the top or bottom bolt to disconnect that from the lower A-arm. So I'm just gonna remove that bolt right there, and that's gonna be an 18mm. One thing we noticed when we disengage the upper ball joint is that it's wore right out. If you grab the end of this and spin it around and move it around, there's nothing left in there. That doesn't look very healthy. So we're gonna replace that as well. Underneath here, all you need to do is get on here and push it that way to disengage those splines. Now you might have to give it a tap with a hammer or use a pry bar. It should slide right off, no troubles there. Next, on this end, you want to push that way to disengage it from the steering knuckle here. I disconnected our sensor line right here so that we could pull the steering knuckle way out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to articulate and pry stuff so I can get this shaft just drop down underneath and on the other side of this. And then we have all the space outside of the strut assembly to remove that axle. It ended up, it wanted to go out the other way. There's a little more room naturally to play with here. So it was easier to just drop that shaft at the bottom of this. And now we have some room. If we had to, we'd remove this, but I'm pretty sure that we can wiggle this out of there. Now we can see where it failed here, and what happens is the boot will get ripped or damaged, and then unknowingly you'll drive like that, and this is all opened up, and then it gets contaminated inside there, and it ends up wrecking your velocity joint. The wife noticed a noise every time that she took a sharp turn, and that's because this is being articulated like that, and that's when you're going to notice it more when it's articulated rather than when it's more kind of straight like this. Here's our replacement part here, and there's a part number for anyone who's interested. And this end is just splined, so that's just going to slide in. And once that's slid in on that side, then we assemble this side with the hub. Just as a little bit of advice, if you want to spray up that rubber with a product something like this here, it's going to make that rubber last longer. It'll stay pliable and it won't crack and deteriorate as fast. So find yourself some kind of product to spray up your rubber, and then it'll just last a little longer. I'm going to clean up that area with some brake cleaner, and then I'm going to use some compressed air. There's going to be some dirt and grime in there. Kind of wipe it out, spray it down with brake cleaner, blow it clean with the compressed air before assembly, and then you want to lubricate that as well. Now, I'm going to use an anti-seize product when I install that, but you could use grease or something just to lubricate it a little bit, so when you're installing it, it'll help with installation, and it'll also help when you go to take it apart next time. You see how I got my bar in there? I'm basically got it in there, and I'm prying off the lower A-arm, and I'm just going to swing this over, and that's just enough to get that shaft up under and in like it is right now. This is the easiest way I can find to do it, because it's resting on the back, and all you're doing is just kind of guiding the front while you pry that over, slip the shaft in underneath, and now it's sitting where it wants to be. You've got one hand to hold it, one hand to pry. You kind of get her in there, let that lower A-arm hold the weight of it, and it worked out really well. I've put this in through the hole of the steering knuckle here, and now I have lots of room, and I've got lots of space to be able to engage that in there. Remember that you want to lubricate that with something for easy installation and disassembly later. Right here we've installed this side of the CV axle into the differential that's splined, It's about 2 inches in depth. It sticks out 1 inch past the differential here. That's why we have that gap. So that's fully engaged in on that side. Over here, we've installed our sway bar link, and that was a 18 millimeter, I think, for the bottom one down there. And then we've installed that bolt there. That was a 15/16 for the nut. On this side here, I re-welded the tab, the locking tab that goes on this side. Up top, we've replaced our upper ball joint there. I do believe that the nut on the bottom here was an 1/16 socket to snug that up. And I just went tight until I lined it up with the hole to put the cotter pin in. This is a part number for that upper ball joint for anyone who's interested. Just know that it's not factory. This vehicle has a lift kit on it, so this is not the factory ball joint for this vehicle. We're getting ready to put on the wheel bearing, and that's going to be our hub with the wheel bearing in there. And I've chased the threads on the on all these studs. I've also chased the holes in there. Those are going to be metric, and on the other side it's going to be 1/2 inch fine thread. What I did was I drilled a hole in the center of that sensor, and I put in this Robertson screw. And once I had that screwed in there, I used this tool here to pry it out, and it was in there really hard because it was seized in there. It was rusted. The moisture must have got in there. There was no way of getting that out. When you install your new one, I'm going to suggest that you lubricate it really well. If you're going to use something, it would be WD-40 or an anti-seize product, something so that the next time you try to get that out of there, it'll come out. There's an O-ring in there that seals it. And there's that O-ring right there that seals that. We're going to lubricate the lower ball joint, the tie rod end, and the upper ball joint, and then we will assemble the wheel bearing. I'm going to use an anti-seize product, and I'm going to put it on the splines. I'm also going to slather it on there and on the inside of this bore as well, because the dissimilar metal of the aluminum steering knuckle and the steel from the wheel bearing, sometimes it'll create this corrosion adhesion, makes it really difficult to separate when you go to take it apart. So I'm going to use an anti-seize product. You could use grease, oil, something, anything, just to kind of create a film or a barrier. We've installed the wheel bearing hub assembly here, and the first thing you need to do is get the proper orientation of your dust shield in the back. I'm just going to use that access hole for the sensor, and that's going to tell me that that's where that needs to be. And then over here you need this open space for your bracketry for your brake system. There's a bracket that gets bolted on there for assembling our brake caliper. In the back, you can see my ratchet. That's going to be a 15 millimeter to tighten down them bolts in the back to hold the wheel bearing on. You can go hand tight. I torqued it down to 50 foot-pounds because it's pretty close to a 7/16 diameter fastener. So it's a torque value that I used. And then we took that sensor and we reattached it here and here, came through that access hole. That's going to be a 5 millimeter Allen wrench to install that. I was able to get it out with a 3/16, but the proper one is a 5 millimeter. This is going to cover that hole and hopefully protect it from getting corroded and a bunch of stuff in there while we wait to get our new sensor. We lubricated our lower ball joint, our tie rod end, and our upper ball joint right there. This style of ball joint has that little weep hole in there, so once you've lubricated it, the excess will come out of that weep hole. We've installed the rotor and the wheel spacer. Once you line those up, put those on, that's going to be a 3/4 socket to tighten those up. And I just use the impact, get that tight. And then our bracket for our brakes right here, that's going to be a 21 millimeter on the back side, 2 bolts there. I ended up torquing that down to about 70 to 80 foot-pounds. It's, I think, a little larger than 1/2 inch fastener, whatever that equates to. We've installed the brake pads on there, and now we just got to put the caliper on. What I'm going to use is a C-clamp here with a piece of metal because it's got 2 cylinders. I go across both of those, kind of pinch that together just a little bit, and then give us a little more room for when we slide that over top of where our pads are. Lastly, we've installed the brake caliper there. There's going to be 2 bolts on the back. You can see where the ratchet is, one on the bottom, one up here. That's going to be a 14 millimeter socket. I just go hand tight on that, and everything should be good to go here. All we got to do is throw the tire back on and lower the vehicle.